Good morning, Will.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. It's almost the weekend, so I'm excited about that.
Oh, for
Um,
sure. One more day. One more day. Can't wait.
yes. I want to start out by apologizing about yesterday's coffee with Kellyco. I had some technical difficulties with it, so I did post the video up. I was still able to interview Frank from Detect America. So if you guys want to hop into yesterday's video and check it out, he was a really interesting guest, and it was a lot of fun. This this morning I was lucky enough to get everything going good. So I'm here with Will, and we got some people watching. So Will, why don't you go ahead and tell people who you are for those who don't know?
So my name is William Huss. I'm a detectorist out of Somerset, Pennsylvania. I've been metal detecting for about 5 years now. Pretty much my favorite thing to metal detect is coins and rings. That's really my thing, but I love going to farm fields, love looking for old relics, saving stuff from the ground that's been there for 200 years. It's just my bread and butter. I absolutely love it.
That's awesome. And what detector do you currently swing?
So right now I swing a white Semix Sport. Uh,
Okay.
I have most of the coils for it, but my favorite coil to actually run for it at the moment is the 7-inch Detect coil.
Okay.
Again, most of the places I go are really trashy, but you can always pick out the good stuff.
Absolutely. Um, is there any other detectors that you're interested in right now? I know there's a lot coming out. The MX Sport's a great detector. I mean, when we met up in Pennsylvania and I saw your detector and what you could do with it, I was pretty impressed. But do you have your eyes on anything else?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's always stuff that's new and that's coming out, and I mean, it's always interesting. The Simplex looks, I mean, just amazing, and I see all the reviews on it, and I see people using it. And it's just an amazing machine. Other machines that I'm really interested in are the Equinox 800.
Mhm.
When I was up in Pennsylvania, I think probably 98% of the people up there were using the Knox, and I thought that was pretty interesting. And with the whites, I mean, you can always sort through the different frequencies, but you do get a little bit of interference from others, and it didn't seem like anybody from like Mind Lab had any problems with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we do have a bunch of people joining. Allison, let's see, Vicky, Ace, Albert, Dave, Rachel, they all say good morning to you. So, what are
Morning,
you
guys.
drinking? That doesn't look like coffee.
No, I'm actually not a big coffee drinker. This is my chocolate milk for the morning.
Well, I got my Krispy Kreme mug today. So,
Um,
so, I know you got some stuff in front of you, but before we get to that, do you want to talk about? I know something crazy happened when you were out digging shortly after Dirt Digging PA last year, which is probably everybody's biggest fear. But what you did was really amazing. Do you want to kind of talk about that?
sure, I'll talk about it a little bit. So probably about 2 weeks after Dirt Digging PA, I went out. Uh, as I said, there's a lot of interesting places where I live, a lot of history. And one of the biggest historical places is Johnstown, Pennsylvania, which I live about 12 miles away from.
Hmm.
I've lived around the Johnstown area for all of my life, and it's had numerous floods over the years. The biggest flood being, I believe it was May 31st, 1889.
Wow.
Um, and it was absolutely catastrophic. There was more than 700 unknown people that, I mean, are still in a cemetery. They never been identified. But where the flood actually came to a bridge, it was a
Hmm.
railroad bridge, and everything just piled up. Everything caught fire and everything. And I've known people that I've metal detected around there, and I found a lot of stuff, especially
Hmm.
from other floods. I decided to go down there, see what I could find, and had a really good signal. About 10 inches down was what my detector was reading.
Hmm.
It got down about a foot, and I started hitting something that seemed like it was given. I thought it was a root, and I started brushing away dirt. ended up finding a bone.
Wow.
Digging a little bit more around the area, found more bones. And that's when I decided, you know what, I don't think this is something that I want to continue digging. So I called the local police department and they came out. They brought their forensic team out. And in about 15 minutes, they had their verdict that I had discovered a body. So
Wow.
it was a very surreal experience for me. The case is still open. It hasn't been closed. So, but my, I guess, kind of saving grace for me is that I brought peace of mind, excuse me, to the family of who it was.
Right. And I know the person had been missing for quite a while.
Yeah.
So, and I think that the police, they confiscated your shovel as evidence too.
Yes, they did.
That's crazy. I think that's everybody's biggest fear, is to be out there and find something like that. I've been on evidence hunts with police departments when that was specifically what we were looking for. But I wouldn't want to just be out detecting and stumble upon that. I mean, it's got to be crazy.
Absolutely. And I mean, but when you're sitting there and, when I first posted about it, someone actually, and I'm not going to say who or whatever, but they said, man, that's like a bucket list thing to help find a body. And, it's one thing if you're working with the police department and you know
Right.
that is what you were looking for at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day. But
Yeah.
to be out just not expecting whatsoever, it
Right.
for actually a good 2 or 3 months. I mean, I didn't really go out. It really kind of made me take a couple steps back from metal detecting. Really, like think like, you don't expect in this hobby that you're going to come across something like that
Right.
ever, really.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I'm glad that you followed procedure, called the police, and you were able to give that family some closure. Um, but hey, I see something on your shirt. That's a pretty interesting shirt you chose.
Absolutely.
You can detect my yard. I'm not sure what's in there, but I'll let you detect my yard, Will. So what do you got in front of you? It looks like a huge pile of stuff.
So this is pretty much all of my good coins, rings, and such from the past 5 years of me digging. Some of my favorite finds. Grab one here.
Now, were these all found with the MX Sport?
All of these were found with
Awesome.
the MX Sport.
Awesome.
So, interestingly enough, this was my second ever silver coin that I actually found with the MX Sport, and it's one of, oh boy, wow.
Oh, it's a barber.
Give me 1 second, guys. Let's see if that does anything.
I could see it. What year is it, though?
1902.
Awesome. That's really nice.
That was one of my best finds. It was probably my prized possession that I found because of how good a shape it's in. But it's interesting. We got little 18 karat ring.
Awesome.
First gold ring I've ever found. That's just absolutely mangled. So
That's cool. What else you got in there? That's a lot of stuff there.
we got some seated dimes.
Oh,
1890.
awesome.
We got some actually local history too. We got a token, and I'll read what's on the back for you. It says, good for 50 cents at the Great Eastern Clothing House of Johnstown, PA on a $5 purchase.
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
Something else that's really cool is way back in the day, we had transit lines, trolley tokens. So here's one of those. It's got a J.
That's awesome.
You guys can see.
Mm-hmm.
But there's multiple varieties of those over the years. I've found all but one.
Okay. Man, you look, with the way those are piled up in front of you, it looks like we're about ready to start a poker game.
Oh man,
I'll play poker using that.
let's see. Nah, poker's a
So
fun game.
Rob Johnson from White's wants to know if you wear that shirt door knocking.
I have worn it door knocking. And to answer your next question, if it is going to be your next question, no, it does not always work.
Let's see. And Ron from OKM, he'll be on tomorrow. He's in Germany. He said he's driving home for the weekend.
Huh.
Are those mostly yard finds? They want to know.
Actually, most of them are from a golf course, believe it or not. Golf courses are one of my favorite places to dig. I actually have 3 different permissions at 3 different golf courses.
Mm-hmm.
And all of them are from 1920s, 1930s.
Okay.
The most recent one that I got, though, actually dates back even further before it was even a golf course. It was actually recorded in the 1790s.
Wow.
As being there, and it was a potato farm. And for those of you that are history buffs and like looking stuff up, General Forbes and the Forbes Road actually went right through where that golf course is today. And
Wow.
taking actually a bunch of friends of mine, some of them swing Garrett's, some of them swing Mine Lab. We've pulled gold coins out. We have
Wow.
pulled reals out. We've
That's
pulled
amazing.
old horseshoes. I don't think I have it here, but I've actually pulled a War of 1812 infantry button out of
Oh,
there.
that's amazing.
So,
So it sounds like you and your friends have done quite a few people's bucket list items. I'm going to ask everybody in the chat and that's watching live, and you, Will, what's one of your biggest bucket list items?
oh man,
So many, right?
so many. I think right now, just from where I dig, I would love to find a real.
Okay.
That's probably I'm yet to find one. And I always find it really, really funny because I'm the one that goes out and searches stuff for my club. I'm actually part of a club here in Johnstown called Flood City Diggers, and I'm the one that goes out and finds the permissions usually.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime I find a permission, I'll detect for a couple of hours, see what's good there. But I'll bring everybody else out, and it's like 2 cent piece, large cent, real, gold coin.
Isn't that how it goes? I remember when there was a park I've been hunting it for a long time, very trashy, and I was out there with my CTX with the 6-inch coil, and I brought a couple friends who had their Equinox with the 6-inch coil, and I mean it's really trashy. And my friend, he's like, "Hey Carolyn, what do you think this is?" And I'm staring at the coin, and I'm like, "This is not what I think it was." And he got an 1876 seated quarter. I'm like, ah, I'm like, darn it. So let's see. Ace says that golf course equals cow sheep pasture.
Ooh,
Hmm.
boy, that's interesting.
Let's see. We purchased the Equinox 800. I'm super excited to get out and learn the machine with my wife. You're going to be happy. It's a really good machine. If you need any tips or anything, Anthony, just give us a call and we can help you out with it. But it's a really good machine. So do you consider yourself a coin shooter, a relic hunter? What would you really consider yourself, Will?
Uh, Really just a jack of all trades.
All around?
I have 2 main settings that I run with my MX Sport, and it's high trash and relic.
Okay.
And especially when I'm out in the woods, I always want to run relic because I want to hear as much of that iron and all of that as I possibly can, because that gives me a little bit more depth, one with that
Right.
machine, and it also lets me hear if there's something in amongst, because a lot of the places I dig in the woods have old foundations and there are a ton of nails. So I always want to hear them. And I probably have an entire bucket of nothing but nails that I found over the years. But in amongst those nails, I mean, I'll actually pull one out here right now for you if I can find it. Is this it? Actually, yes, it is.
Mercury
This was
dime.
in, yep. It was in a hole with about 3 nails, all corroded, whatever. And I think one of the best reasons that I actually heard it was actually sitting right on top of the nails. But I dug down. And the only reason I dug it was because there was one very faint, high pitched squeak in the
Mm-hmm.
hole. And I thought to myself, you know what? It's got to be either something brass in there with it,
Mm-hmm.
or it's got to be silver. And sure enough, a 1926 Mercury dime. So
That's awesome. Vicky wants to know, besides finding the bones, was there any other spooky experiences that you had?
I have actually. My most recent one was actually detecting an old mine, or around an old mine, excuse me. And I always have my detector fill up on batteries, so I know everything's gonna work. And I mean, I have had a little bit of finicky issues with my MX Sport recently, but for the most part, it was just detecting along. Suddenly, boom, detector's done. And
Batteries drained.
I mean, immediately, full batteries, nothing. Wouldn't even turn on. And I did everything that I could to get it to turn on, and it wouldn't. Probably walked about half a mile down the road and figured, you know what? We'll see if my detector turns on, powered right up. No problem.
Wow.
I figured on my way back, I'd go right back and I started detecting. And as soon as I got into the area, bye bye detector. So,
Wow, that's crazy. That is pretty spooky. I had one time I was using the CTX and it was an old steamboat landing and there was an old wagon trail along there. And I'm listening to the tones and all of a sudden I heard talking in my ears. And I'm like, what is this? And of course, I get all weirded out. I think there must have been some sort of, it was picking up some sort of radio frequency or something, but I heard it in my headset and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to not dig right here. I'm going to go find somewhere else to detect. So it really did weird me out quite a bit. So, um, they call Debbie Miller says, we called metal detecting dirt fishing. Yes, that's what a lot of us do call it. I know besides just detecting, you go out and you do some bottle digging.
yes, and I don't have any bottles here with me. I wish I would have grabbed some. Actually, as a matter of fact, that's a lie. This was actually what I keep my finds in. This was actually one that I found. It's an old
Okay,
Atlas.
awesome.
It's a strong shoulder mason, but that's what I like to keep my finds in.
Hmm.
But bottle digging here around me, there's not the kind of old stuff that I mean, you know him, Drew Waholic. Um, he finds
Yeah.
absolutely amazing stuff.
Hmm.
Um, I'm sure there's places around here, but I'm yet to find them. So
That's how it is with me when I get into the bottle digging. I'm really good at finding the bottle dumps and stuff on the properties. I've dug so many of them, but it's hard because down here, I mean, Florida does have some rich history, but it's far and few between. And a lot of stuff that I do find is from early 1900s to the 1960s for bottles. I've gotten into some spots that were really old, and I have found some stuff from the early 1800s, but it's around. It's just hard to find those.
and
Definitely.
that's probably a dream of yours, though, to find a ball dump and find something from when the West Indies were really going strong and find an old bottle or something.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I do have one torpedo bottle that I found. It is chipped up pretty bad, but it's not broken. And I have several broken torpedo bottles, and then I have it's a flask. They call it a coffin flask. It kind of looks like a coffin. I've got one of those, but yeah, it's hard to find the really old ones here. When I went up to Georgia, I did find some pretty good ones. So let's see. Um, Ace wants to know, do you know about the Lost Silver Cave in the Not sure how to say this. Alec G. Forest?
Is there a way I can pull
Allegheny
up Tony?
Forest? I'm on Facebook on the Kellyco page watching it at the same time. So that's how I'm able to see them.
Okay.
And then how about Civil War gold at Dent's Run? Have you heard about that?
No,
Oh.
a lot of that kind of stuff I really like to research because a lot of that really are just treasure hunting stories. Um, really do your research on those. There was one that I was looking at, and I mean, I did extensive research on it, only to
Mhm.
find out that it never happened. It was a story somebody's great grandfather told to their grandfather, told to their kids, and it wasn't true. There was actually a very local one that an old Italian man came over and hid all of his jewelry, all of his belongings, and they had the location. They said it was somewhere around here, and I think I researched that so extensively between 1910 and 1950,
Mhm.
and there was no one in any of the houses, no deeds written to anybody who was of Italian descent.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I dismissed it.
I have Norma said she poured water on the ground before she started detecting, turned on the machine and it started beeping out of control. So she dug a plug and bam, a 1936 Merc.
Awesome.
That's one of my favorite things to do is go out after it's rained because the ground's about they say about 30% more conductive. So I like to
Mm,
say it makes the silver pop because that stuff that's right out of range, you can hear it.
yeah. And I'll tell you actually a funny story about that. Now, she actually brought that up. I had a friend who lives in like an old miner's house.
Hmm.
It was from the Berwyn Mining Company, not too far from me. The town's called Wimber. But she was digging up her garden and she found bottles, she found coins, she found the old ID tags.
Oh,
She
that's
has an
amazing.
entire pile of stuff that she found while digging for her garden. I mean, she found a lot of silver coins just digging up for her garden.
Did you tell her that you'd help clean the garden out a little bit more and come over with your detector?
Yes, but unfortunately, she never invited me back. So I mean,
It
it is.
happens. Yep. I have one of my best permissions. I can't get back on. It happens. People change their mind.
That's
Um,
what I was saying about golf courses being my favorite thing. One of my favorite golf courses actually got taken over by somebody else, and I can't get on it. And there's still
oh,
so much there.
oh, that's amazing. I know down by me, they just started digging up a golf course, and I tried to get permission on it. They wouldn't let us, but that's okay. Um,
So let
all
me
right.
ask you a question, Carolyn, if you don't
Okay.
mind. Like
Go ahead.
when you go and ask permission, because I always get the people that, I mean, kind of peek through the side of the door uh, because they just, I guess, don't want to be bothered. How do you approach stuff like that? Do you wait for people to be outside to ask them?
That's
To
one, yeah, that's really, really good way to do it. Before all this stuff happened, I would go out on the weekends and I'd go to some old areas. And a lot of the areas I go, I know a lot of the local history. And I know about, their houses, the area, so I can kind of bring that in. But I would look for garage sales. And when you go up to a garage sale, they're out there, they want to talk to you because they want you to buy something, so I'll look around and find something that, I can live without, but I'll buy it and I'll make conversation about the house, about the history, and say, "Hey, would you mind if I give a listen, see what's in your yard?" And I always tell them that I'll show them everything I find, and if they want anything, they're free to have it because I've got so much stuff I don't need it. And surprisingly, a lot of them don't want it. They're like, "You're working for it. You could keep it." And they do like to take the clad coins, which is fine with me. But for the most part, I mean, they don't want it. They don't see the value in relics. And I get really excited when I bring it over to them and they're like, that's junk. So that's one way. Or if I just see somebody out in the yard working, because if they are outside, it's a lot easier to approach them. And if I do decide to go up to a house and door knock on the door, I really make sure that I know a little bit about the area and I tell them who I am. And with our club, we started a certification program because we want to try to overturn being able to dig in county parks. So we have our little badge that we have, and it's got the code of ethics on the back really big. And I use that as a prop when I talk to them and tell them, I'll fill my holes. I won't trespass. I go through all the code of ethics with them, and it's a really good tool. And kind of opposite of you, I get 9 out of 10 permissions I door knock on, but I think being a girl might help it a little bit because I'm a little bit more less intimidating.
And I'm not sure if you've ever had it. I'm actually good friends with most of the police departments now around my area because they've all come so many times because somebody is called, hey, this guy is doing something weird
Yeah.
around the neighborhood. And it's really interesting because before I ever go into a new neighborhood and start detecting, I always look and see, like, are the sidewalk strips, because I love detecting sidewalk strips. One of
Yes.
my favorite things to do. But I always check, does the homeowner actually own this? And there are a few places out near me to where actually the property markers extend out all the way into the road. So they do own it. But 9 times out of 10, they don't.
Right.
And a lot of homeowners really think that they own that because they maintain it, which is fine. I understand it. You maintain it, you want
Right.
it to look nice, but at the end of the day, you don't own it. But I always kind of take it, all right, I don't want to cause problems. I'll just move along.
Right. That's the easiest way. And avoiding the conflict, it kind of keeps, the hobby's reputation because there's a lot. That's one of the most touchy subjects with detectorists because they have an opinion one way or another, but you doing it, and if somebody says something, just moving along, that's the best way to handle it. Allison says try detecting underneath the full moon. I've heard that too.
Underneath the
Um,
full moon.
um, there's some superstition and stuff that goes around that it might be a little bit better detecting.
Hmm.
Anthony wants to know about how long the Equinox batteries last. Um, how long will you be able to last before the batteries go dead? They last quite a while, about maybe 16 hours, I think. That's about what I get on mine. Patrick says, good morning, everyone.
Good morning,
And
Patrick.
Rick and Craig joined. So good morning, everyone. Um, we're getting pretty close to the end of the show, Will, but I do have a question for you.
Good.
Well, two, actually. The first one is I was just going to ask you to kind of recap that old house that we found and the story with Amy digging and how we were so upset because we thought what she found.
It ended
Oh,
up being
boy.
a giant metal ring.
Yes,
She was so excited because we all went over it, and I mean, we all thought it was something good.
we did.
The new old house was right along an old railroad trail, one of the rails to trails up in Pennsylvania, and it was so funny because she was so excited. And what did she dig? She probably dug down like
She did. She was a new detectorist and she swore up and down that this was going to be a cache of coins. And she had you and me so excited about it, especially she started digging. Then we found that plastic lid that had holes in it. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
oh my gosh, did she really just find a can of coins?
Yeah, that was so hilarious. That was some
You know
tough
what?
detecting, though. It
I
was pretty
still
deep.
have that picture. I still have that picture. I'm not sure if I've sent it to you, but I'm pretty
Yep.
sure.
I got that picture. The look on her face was just amazing. She was so excited. Let's see here. Somebody said just move on, not worth the argument as far as the curb strips. Absolutely, Norma.
Absolutely.
Chester says he found a 25-cent coin in Luxembourg, 1947. Wondering what country it's from. I'm not sure on the spellings. It was a CMES coin. Oh, Dave went ahead and sent a link over for him. Well, I do have another question. I like to wrap up the Coffee with Kellyco, giving advice to new detectorists because we do have a lot of new detectorists that do join. What would be your best advice to give new detectorists on how to be successful or what to do, just in general?
So, as a new detectorist, if you don't have somebody to teach you the ropes, find somebody to teach you the ropes. Um, Whether it be someone's family member, whoever, somebody, if you can find that can show you a little bit about it, that's one of the best ways. If not, dig as much as you can, learn your detector. If you want to discriminate out iron, go ahead, but keep everything else open. All your pull tabs, everything, and really dig as much as you can. Dig everything you can, because the more you dig, the more you will find. And I have found that over time where, you think that you're just tired of digging pull tabs, but that one time you get that pull tab sound and you pull something like that, it makes 150 pull tabs worth just that. So dig it all, replace your holes. Yeah, that's pretty much my advice to all the new detectorists.
And let me ask you, how many pull tabs do you think you've dug?
Oh my gosh. Thousands at this point. Um, and I will tell you, I've spent all day trying to hunt for just gold rings. So I had everything else discriminated out. All I wanted was the gold signals. I didn't find any gold. I found nothing but pull tabs. And I think after that, it kind of like was the realization. And I mean, that's actually when I first started detecting. And I think that was really the realization to me was this isn't a machine that's going to sniff out gold for you. You've
Right.
got to be persistent and you've got to keep your head up. And I really think, first and foremost, because I treat metal detecting as a mental health boost. You
Mm-hmm.
know, stay positive. You can be digging a lot of trash, but think of it this way: I'm digging trash, I'm cleaning up the grounds.
Yep. You got to find the trash to find the treasure.
For sure.
Yep. All right. Well, that's going to end today's episode of Coffee with Kellyco. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you, Will, for joining.
Thank you
And
very much for having me. I really
you're
appreciate it. It's
welcome.
a lot of fun.
And until tomorrow, you guys stay safe out there. And cheers.
Cheers, guys. Have a good one.
Cheers.
Dig it all.
Bye, everyone. All right. And